And now, Energy Sus Productions presents Pittsburgh, Holter, Geezer, Prattle. Today's topic, a continuation of Jail Fail, Part 2, and action. Hello and welcome back. Jail Fail, Part 2. And good morning, I think it's still morning. These are the places you can find me. All are to learn quantum pondering, much like divinating. If you have any questions, see my past videos. They're all very short. A lot of physics in those about the end times. Feel free to copy and share anything I teach or record. Please consider anything I speak. It's mostly not authored by me. And it helps with the 100th monkey effect in our new unified field as we reconnect to heaven and the surface of the planet reconnects. I wanted to go over some things I've forgotten on about the dock. They had a pallet leaned up as they were detaining me kind of on the dock. There was a pallet leaned up where the truckload back up to. As the police and everyone there were there, I jumped down in to get something and climbed back up, and they all freaked out. I forgot to mention that. It just came to me this morning. And I forgot Rick from Turner's was there. He just started his milk run, literally milk run. He delivered milk. So we would have had a truck full of milk. I asked him for a strawberry milk. He said he only had one. Now I understand when I threw that pint of strawberry milk, I'm glad I didn't drink. I just smelled it and threw it in the compactor and hit the compact button. Excuse me. And hit the compact button. That's when the one slippery white policeman grabbed me and put me down. He was pretty gentle about it, considering. So that's what that was all about. That was probably that adrenochrome y'all were talking about. And they must have been doing something with death at the same time. I don't know what was in that box. Anyway, moving on to the jail. The first thing I wanted to mention was the mug cameras, the ones that take your mug shots. They had to go like into a booth. They had two of them. The first one I went to, they seemed odd. It was taking them forever to take someone's picture. And then the one guard started barking and yelling for no reason, just like to try to drum up fear, I think to affect the toroidal fields of that special camera I mentioned. And then the second time they did it was another camera on another floor. I did that like, is it Mary? I see in people's yards with like a shroud and she's holding her hands out like this, kind of on her sides. I did that, and the man running it acted like a child and went into fits of rage, and he swore a lot. So apparently it didn't spectroscopitate or whatever it was supposed to do to me. That was explained in the earlier video. Oh, and something most peculiar. When they put me in after the intake or whatever you call it, when they put me in this little tiny cell with two black men, they let me keep my belt, which is a pretty nice one, I think, from the place in Wheeling. And a little sack. I used to carry crystals and magnets with me. And I kept them in like little silk sacks. For some reason, the officer gave me a little red sack and my belt. And I was moved to a temporary cell with two men who you'd think would be passed out drunk because they didn't respond when we entered or when I spoke to them. And so I did some things. I took my belt that they gave me and got it good and wet. I put one end in the toilet and one end on the ground, and things got very peculiar after that. All of a sudden, those two black men that seemed unconscious were up, and their feet were not on the ground. They were in the fetal position on their benches. One grabbed a large wad of toilet paper and threw it on the ground. The policeman came into the small cell without being summoned, kicked at the toilet paper and jumped back. I threw it in the toilet and asked him if he was afraid of ghosts. That's funny. Oh, and anyway, and then the two other sacks literally came, they just appeared on the floor. So I used them to try to clean the toilet. It was steel or something like that. They had spirit gum around the edge of the water to keep something in, if you know what I mean. And it wouldn't come off. I scrubbed it with my belt and those little silk sacks and everything. I could not get that stuff off. And I cleaned toilets. Okay. And so, okay. And then we went to the psychics. They had some black ones and some white ones. The black ones would doing the same thing. They're kind of wild-eyed. They look friendly. But the one that was friendly to me, Tim, I think his name was, listening to me speak of the Anunnaki, etc., he suddenly got possessed by them, picked me up by the neck. I think he was going to slam me against the wall and kill me. And I told him, I understand. You're not yourself, and it's okay, and I love you. And he put me down and accidentally broke my toe stepping on it. He was a big man. He's very nice. I forgive him if you're worried about it. And then there was a white guy in an orange suit in a cell all by himself. And they had all these beat up white guys, looked all hungover and just in terrible shape. And he would sit in there and concentrate real hard. You could see him doing it. And one of them would get up and come toward me like they're going to start a fight. And you could just rattle off your favorite lottery numbers or go, and they just wander past you. And no one would look and say, well, that's odd or anything like that. They were all just zombified. And again, I forgive you. You didn't even know you broke my toe. And then the policeman, the ruddy one, the medical, we'll call her a lady, was going to look at me. I asked him how long he worked there, if he loved his mommy, and saying, Jesus loves me too. He fell apart. He kept telling an intake member he loved them. I can still hear her saying, I won't repeat her, but why do you keep telling me you love me? That was a good one. I enjoyed that. And then the gal that was supposed to be the medical lady, she had like a trainer behind her. She'd ask you questions, and she had a piece of paper in front of her with boxes and so on. And I'd answer, like with height. I said, I'm 5'8" something and 104 feet on Wednesday. And the other nonsensical answers I gave her that were, you should have laughed or looked at me funny or said, hey, come on, at least. She scanned the paper for me. Had green eyes I'd never seen before. And then, if you get your Glocks, if you see two mocks, well, I didn't get any phone calls, but that's because of the black, never mind. But anyway, the two mocks, they never came for me for my hearing. I had one on the TV, and then they came. A guy, one of the guards, came and looked at me, and I could hear him saying he was at his hearing and in his cell at the same time, and we have it on camera. And the part though the uptake, I leaned against this post. This was after I primed the toilet with my wet belt. And I was leaning against a post looking at a symbol like this on the window of a courthouse next door. And because I turn stuff into magnets, all this, I don't know why I showed you that. All this energy came up through me. I was high for like 3 weeks on something. I was high on that stuff when I smacked that dog at St. Bernard's up at Bower Hill Road. Oh, and the last thing was a lady with orange hair and a guy named Brooks. I was sitting down Indian style. It's a steel door. You can't throw things through there, although the guard said you could. But she was closing her eyes, concentrating, while Mr. Brooks was asking me questions. And when I quoted Nassim Harriman, someone about, hey, Joe, that pyramid isn't quite lined up. Can you move it over a quarter inch? She got up and ran out of sight around the corner. And Mr. Brooks got all as nervous as could be. And that's about it. I think that's all. That's the most of the highlights, all the weirdness anyway. And then I got out, and they wouldn't even let me put my shoes on. They wanted me to get out of there in a hurry. Thanks for watching. We sure love y'all. This was a fun one. I still got attacked today, but it's even less than yesterday. Every time I do this, it becomes less and less. Our angels above are eliminating me. And too, I'm sorry I'm ugly. The energy I worked with when I went up to Bill Few and did a healing up there, it knocked the cap right out of my mouth. I'm sorry. I love you. We all love you.